Uh, yes, yes. Do we have everyone on, or? I see Dorothy.
Hi, Peter.
Yes, I agree, sir. Okay, we're ready to proceed, sir.
Okay, you want us to
I want to, in a very special way, appreciate everyone for
I'm so sorry.
Ubrin Farik from Pakistan, Dr. Shinila Joy from India. You're welcome, ma. All right, so we'll proceed. You know, it's a very disturbing thing that has been happening in our world today, and you all agree with me that this has affected our lives, our communities, our families, and nations in no small measure. The issue of gender discrimination and equality. To some extent, it says to be a nightmare. And coming from a developing country like ours, like Nigeria, for instance, it's very disturbing. We want to welcome everybody here. So we'll start by saying every speaker will have to himself or herself 15 minutes each to tell us their experiences from their various for the independent countries, what gender discrimination is like in your own country. You share with us today so that the world will get to know what it entails to have this topic today. So the first speaker today, we would like to have Tove. You proceed with us to share your experience with us. Tove Katzen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me clear here? Yeah, you hear me. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. So I'm going to try to keep these 15 minutes. So hi, everybody. I would first like to take this opportunity to thank you for having me in this very important webinar. It's an honor for me to be part of this and to listen and learn from so many of you. My name is Tove Karlsson, and I am from Sweden, where I live and work. I'm a registered nurse, and I have a master in public health. Currently, I'm also a student in university doing my master in global health. And my main focus is young people's health. And I have many years of experience working with children and teenagers in schools as a school nurse. I'm also the founder and president of the NGO Healthy Thinking International. Healthy Thinking International is an NGO working with different health-related issues among young people around the world. We are currently working a lot with drug and substance abuse prevention among youth in both Sweden and Kenya, starting up in Nigeria at the moment. And I know today we are focusing on gender, so I would like to talk a bit about my experience by risk factors of ending up in the drug abuse situations for the young. We have come to notice that the fact of being a girl is a risk factor on its own. Why is that? Well, education on its own is extremely important for all children, especially if you live in a poor area, then education factor of getting out of poverty. But the school environment in itself is also a very protected zone for many of the children. Living in the slums means you're extremely vulnerable as a young person to be exposed to all different types of crime. Being a young girl in the slums is particularly risky, since you might not have any protection around you at all. When working with our program, we realized that the girls in the schools had a higher absence in the schools than the boys did. When looking closer at this, we came to understand that when you have little or no funds at all, you cannot afford sanitary pads. So for the week of your period, you tend to stay home from school. That means that girls are absent 1 week every month. Missing out on education 1 week every month is a lot, and it will affect your learning and your grades. But it also means that you are out of the protection zone, and being on your own in the slum is not always a very good thing. So we found that many girls started to sell their bodies in return of sanitary pads. For some of the girls we've spoken to, they say that they rather sell sex and get sanitary pads they need to attend school than to miss out on their chance of education. Selling their bodies comes with an enormous anxiety, self-contempt, and low sense of self-worth. Many girls then turn to drugs to ease their anxiety and to approaching them with sanitary towels for 1 year and looked at their attendance. And by providing sanitary towels to the girls, the attendee went up to 100%. It should be of any government's interest to make sure that all girls have access to free sanitary pads to ensure them the same rights to education for both girls and boys. And like I said in the beginning, I'm from Sweden. Sweden is considered one of the most gender equal countries in the world. Our government and our culture strives for equal power between men and women to shape the society and their own lives. Sweden sometimes is considered a gender equality role model in the world. Still, there's room for improvement. I know we have come a long way here, and I'm very aware of the fact that we are a small country with about 9 million people. We have never really been in any war or under any colonization, etc. So we have had a very smooth path to be able to develop a society fairly free from corruption and a society that is fairly equal for all human beings. I know that it is a struggle for many countries to get certain systems to change. But I think, and I thought I will give you a few examples from how things are here to encourage the work you all do and to show that the fight for gender equality can be very fruitful. The Swedish government has commissioned the Swedish Gender Equality Agency to support government agency with the work of integrating a gender perspective in all of their operations. Gender discrimination has been illegal in Sweden since 1980. The Discrimination Act demands that employees not only actually promote equality between men and women, but also take measurements against harassment. In Sweden, we have a law against discrimination, the Discrimination Act called. This law says that no one must suffer discrimination of any kind on the basis of gender, ethnicity, religion, function impairment, or age. The purpose of the Act is to combat discrimination and in other ways promote equal rights and opportunities regardless of gender, etc. The concept of discrimination can in a broad sense include events or even chains of events that a person has experienced, as for instance, insulting, unfair, racist, unjust, unequal, and so on. If a person has experienced any discrimination at work or in school, the companies or school has to investigate. If they cannot come up with a solution, one can always turn to the state's ombudsman that will bring the investigation further. Knowing all this makes people aware and try not to discriminate. This has a huge impact on both practice that everyone, regardless of gender, has the right to work and support themselves, to balance career and family life without the fear of abuse or violence. The balance between the career and the family life is always a struggle, especially for women. The Act therefore says that employees cannot treat anyone differently just because they have to go on parental leave. In fact, the state has made it mandatory for both parents to take parental leave. The state will give you 80% of your salary for 380 days on the condition that you split it between the parents. This is to ensure that having a baby should never affect a woman negatively. I believe, as a mother of two, that this system has made it possible for me to develop my career just as much as my husband's, which would never have been possible without the state support or a very strong economic situation of myself. From the year your child turns 2 years here, you are offered a place of daycare with no cost, Monday to Friday. This means you can still work full-time or part-time when having children. I think our government sees that the country needs both women and men working and brings a amount of freedom as a woman to work with the knowledge that your children are being well looked after and by the same time being able to be economically independent, which also reduces the gap between the men and women when it comes to financial independence or dependency. I am definitely not saying that our system is perfect in all ways. We still have a pay gap between men and women. Boardrooms are still male dominated, and there is still way too many cases here regarding men's violence against women. So we have issues that comes with these laws and systems as well. But it has had a great impact on the well-being of many, many women and men. I say men as well, since gender equality and feminism concerns us all. Thank you very much for taking your time to
All right,
listen.
thank you. We really appreciate Tove. Peter is a principal of BP Global Advisory US. So you have the floor, you have the room to share with us your take on gender discrimination and equality regards to your experiences in the US. And you have the
Thank
you
you.
have the house, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Osama. Let me, if I may, just I think the purpose for this call today is to first acknowledge that there is a discrimination and inequality issue around the globe. I think what I wanted to do today was to basically not focus on a particular country's issue and what we're doing ourselves, but I think what we want to do is recognize what's going on around the world and come up with a plan of action. And I think allow other participants, so instead of speaking for 15 minutes or so, I think we ought to, since there are 4 panels, ought to spend 5 minutes describing what we do and how we feel about it, but more importantly, allow the participants to ask questions to anyone on the panel. So that's my humble request to you, Osama, you're the host, and I wanted to just kind of share that with you.
Right.
Having said that, let me just kind of go over why this is important to me. I have lived in this country for over 4 decades. I came when I was very little. I came from Pakistan, and sort of made my way up from what I would consider to be a trash collector from a hotel to a CEO of a hotel, right? So this is where, and at that time, none of those gender discrimination issues or anything like that were brought up to our attention because the 70s and the 80s and the 90s weren't as bad as what we feel today. My biggest concern right now with what's going on is that the discrimination and the inequality and minorities only. I mean, that's how I feel. I live in the USA. I see what's going on around here. You saw the riots and things like that. But I think I want to take a different approach. I'm instead of going into a negative that I want me to sit back and listen to what you have to say, and at the end, I will, chime in from a man's perspective as to how things are. So my biggest concern is that when a woman reaches the pinnacle, when a woman reaches a top level position, whether it's in academia, whether it's in politics, whether it's in sports, whether it's in the government services, we tend to marginalize and we tend not to give them the platform so that the world can see their accomplishment. Whereas if a man was going to do something, it blows up all over the world. And that inequality, that lack of recognition of a person's achievements and endeavors because she is a woman or because he or she is an African American is what really bothers me. And we've seen examples, recent examples where some great ladies in Nigeria, and Dorothy and I spoke about this. I don't know if you know that, but the very first Nigerian female combat pilot who just passed away at the age of 23 recently. It's sad. Chief Abani Darego, she was a Nigerian model and a beauty queen who crowned Miss World 2001. Then you have other entrepreneurs in Nigeria alone. What I'm trying to say is that these people have sacrificed their lives, right? Even at the age of 23, for her to become, for our Tilly to become a fighter pilot in a country like Africa, it's a huge deal. But did you hear about it? Did I hear about it? Did the world hear about it? No. Because we never took the opportunity to put those people on a platform. And the biggest issue here that I want to walk out of today is that when we leave here, all of us, including men who are on the call or participating, we need to know that women need to be respected, they need to be recognized, they need to be protected, and they need, I don't want to say they need to be loved and desired and all that, because that ultimately happens because it's so easy for a man to come and say, oh, I love you, great. Well, what the hell does that mean? That doesn't mean anything, because the other factors that I mentioned earlier, if those factors are not part of the equation, then that love means nothing. It's like, it's lip service, basically. So what I'm trying to understand is that what is it that we can do, because women have been talking about this issue for decades, and why it has not impacted. Why has it not any change seen in the world is because we men have not helped them, supported them, taken their agenda, and then said to them, you know what, sister, we'll take care of it. And as far as women are concerned in terms of self-worth and all that, there will always be someone who cannot see your worth. Don't let that be you. And this is to the women I'm talking to. The funny thing in America, we talked about how President Obama, when he was the president of the United States, how he introduced himself, right? How did he introduce himself? He did not introduce himself as a President Obama. He went in front of thousands of people and said, hi, I'm Barack Obama. I'm Michelle's husband. He put her in front of his accomplishment. And that was the most powerful position in the world. And then I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'll let someone else chime in. For our journey is not complete until our wives are the family level, at a community level, and on a national level. No nation on earth has the right to take a woman's perspective, to take a woman's accomplishment and diminish it, because without them, behind every successful man, there is a woman. Trust me, whether you believe And the fact is that is something that we all need to recognize. So I'm going to turn it back. I mean, women have done great things. I think, Amreen, you probably heard that recently. Brigadier Nigar Johar was the first woman to command the Pakistan Army. She was given a multidisciplinary tertiary care hospital, and she became the Army Medical General. Women have the ability. They fight in the same world that men do. They go through the same competitive process that men do. Yet when they make it, we tend to just say, oh, whatever. No, we need to celebrate that. We need to celebrate their accomplishment. We need to put them up on the pedestal. We need to tell them how great they are, and we need to continue. And for women who are successful, like I see on the screen right now with Ambreen and Dorothy and Dr. Joy and Coke, Toby, here's my final comment to you ladies. If you are more fortunate than others, build a longer table, not a taller fence. Let me say that again. If you are more fortunate and successful than others, build a longer table, not a taller fence, and include everyone. So I thank you for the opportunity. It's great to see all of you here. I know that I've spoken to some of you, but have not had an opportunity to discuss this important and critical issue in detail. But I think let this be a beginning of a conversation that needs to carry on for a long time till the change is made in this world. Thank you so much, and I give the floor back to you, Osama.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You've actually brought to light the issue of gender discrimination, and have, in a no small measure, made us to understand the fact that it cannot be done by the women or ladies or sisters alone. The men have to take a very active part in ensuring that the issue of gender equality is achieved. And then our sisters, our aunties, just like you said, are free from discriminations, then the male counterparts are not free indeed. I really want to appreciate you, sir, for doing justice to that topic. We'll proceed. An observation has been made, so we'll take that into cognizance. If you have, when you're called on to speak, you please. If you're not speaking, if you're not a speaker, please, for now until the room is given for questions, please mute your mic until the room for questions is given. Thank you. All right, we'll proceed with the third speaker, Obrain Rafiq. She's from Pakistan, a social developer. Tell us what you feel about gender discrimination and equality, and how it affects our families, our communities, and nations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you, for providing me such a wonderful opportunity to share my heart. And I'm very thankful to all. So I'm going to share with you all my understanding of gender discrimination and inequality on my own experience. Being a woman and growing up as working in Pakistan as a social development practitioner for 15 years. This experience related to my life, to lady health workers, to doctors, to patients, to teachers, to girls, to in my 15-year experience with those I have worked. So that experience, which I'm going to share with you, it is related. So a few of examples I would like to share with you all. Yes. So, yes. So are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Go ahead, Imam. Proceed.
yeah.
Okay,
Anyone that
okay.
is not speaking other than the panel, please mute your mic. That includes participants as well. Thank you.
Yes. So, according to my experience, so I highlighted 13 examples. First, our society is patriarchal society with male dominant behavior. Parents wish, number two, parents wish for boys rather than girls. Number three, the best food is the household goes to the man and boys. Forced marriages, early marriages, her wish to love. Heard that word karupari, especially I am talking about the in my perspective of Sindh province, Pakistan, and both of them they may be killed. Honor kill, that you know very well what is the meaning of honor killing. The number three, practices, number four practices is hak bakshwani, is an Urdu word describing a young girl who married the who wants to marry, but due to the family pressure, because they don't want to separate or distribute the property, and with another family, so they remain unmarried and childless. Next, women have less access to justice than men have through women's lack of awareness on Pakistani law and women's law. To get access to justice, women have to go through men, even on health issue. Women have to get permission from an extended family member, usually a man. Educating children goes to boys because boys can support the larger family parents in their old age, and through their achievements bring honor to the family name. Next, education is not prioritized for girls because parents know that that uh, uh, that when daughters marry, they go to another home, and so many girls still remain illiterate, and women are considered as a burden, as the father has to give a dowry to that a man will marry her. Women are considered less wisdom. That in our Urdu language, in our Urdu poetry, a woman is shown to be a sensitive and soft. Mean there are a lot of phrases. There are a lot of phrases belittling women, like a woman wisdom is in her foot. Women are like shoes on feet. So okay. So there are a lot of phrases belittling women, and the woman like shoes on her feet, and she is Sanfinazuk. Sanfinazuk is an Urdu word, and it means it is a delicate female. Means she is not strong enough. She is, very, shown that in our poetry, in our phrases, even which mostly they using say that like speaking in language. Usually, youth are used to speak to use the women's word in a bad word. I always feel so bad and sad when I see a job advertisement, it is still mentioned that women are encouraged to apply. Why doesn't that advert say women and men are invited to apply? Then it is more equal. So let's worsen the negative effects on the discrimination on girls and women. Social, cultural, economical, emotional, psychological imbalance. The feeling, then it is easier to live without knowing. I remember that in my very first workshop on gender, I said that a girl cannot see her rights in a family home. A girl see only violation of rights. Rather, father shouting at her and her mother is treating them bad because she has no right, no decision-making power. Girls feels it is a fate which will decide their future, that their dreams will be probably never be achieved. So it is a myth, it is a reality, ground reality in our society. So our patriarchal society kills women's emotional intelligence and capability, underestimating uh, all the time, destroying their dignity, self-respect, and self-esteem, and suppressing their voices. This drives women into fear and depression, unable to express their wishes and feelings. But the question is still there. So why? Why there be this bias? So it is still, question in front of us. So I just found in my all experience, in my all, when I was preparing my presentation, to preserve male dominance, to control women, their voices and their lives. So let's now ask, why does this bias need to be changed and need change? So family, wholeness for children, better future, for communities and the nations, less burden on man's shoulder to look after the family, yeah, to ensure gender dignity and respect so that women can enjoy their rights and life. Next, equal participation of both women and men in policy making, governmental and social institutions, businesses, for economic sustainability and education reform, and health system strengthening. Because it is a very, very big big gap between, because as all are my respected panelists shared, that still, the Pakistan also in very behind to ensure their participation to making a decision making or make any, plan or for betterment of the women. But they are not, consult to the direct or the vulnerable community or members. This is my, my experience. For my last session, I would like to say, what can we do to ensure that girls and women have to the same opportunity as men to progress in lives? So it is a very important, point which I have write it down, or I have present, because I really want that in this platform, I raise the voice, I raise the, give the message. So it is a dire need. There is a need to be change behavior of men and boys, women, girls. So I have list 11 points. So very quickly, I'm just giving you, because it is a way forward. We have talked, we have conducted webinars, we have conducted a lot of, but now the time is to take action. So just a few suggestions from my side. Awareness campaigns for men and women to act as a change agent to build women's confidence that things can be changed. Without, both participations, so it could be not possible. Making men understand that it would be better for them too if women have equal right. Bringing about social awareness of pro-woman law to reduce GBV and sexual harassment and assault at home, at working place, at public place. Also through awareness raising, stop early and forced marriages and unwanted pregnancy, and promote girls' education. Because still our rural area, it's really sad to share with you that still we have in our rural area health and hygiene issue, and girls is still, they are compromising their dreams. So ensuring proper education or gender equality and health, which should be a part of a school syllabus. It is still, very big gap in our syllabus. Even if I give my example, I didn't know that. When I came in adultery phase, so I was weeping, I lost my confidence. I thought that I am a different, like an alien. I'm not that, human. So this is a very big difference, because if we educating our children and we include our gender equality or laws in our syllabus, so it could be very helpful for our next generation, or again the next, ensuring more women's participation, more women participation in social services, education and health. Next, encouraging interactive theater in rural area to bring, through the, why I mentioned this point, because I have seen that miracle methodology, because then man realized that what is actually a fact they are facing at their home, at their, so interactive theater we have conducted a lot, I have conducted a lot of interactive theater on birth spacing. So that's why I mentioned that the encouraging interactive theater in rural area to promote behavior change on social issues such as a gender balance, GBV, birth spacing, health and hygiene, and especially on right now, the COVID-19 as well. And number 7 is advocacy on pro-women law. Why I mention this point? Because still, I have a voice. I know very well, how I raise the voice against, if I have a incidents of harassment or sexual harassment, but still, it is a very hard to speak for justice, to access the justice. It's very hard because people, the male dominancy, I remember very first time, I give you, because you are my family members, I don't feel shy. And I speak with you with my heart. Then in very first time, and I remember that I spoke for justice. But what I felt,
Okay.
one month,
All right,
I
Miss.
faced a very,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate. We'll get back to you.
Yes.
To highlight
No,
your
no
points the
problem.
more.
Thank you so much.
We'll get back to you. All right, thank you so
Yes,
much,
thank
man.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
we live in a world where it is grossly imbalanced, where unfortunately they may have and has so much advantage over the ladies, or both these and other issues will become matters of history. So we'll proceed to our next speaker, Dr. Shunila Joy. Dr. Shunila Joy is a principal, Faco International School, Cambridge, India. Man, you have the time, please. Let's stick to the time allotted to each speaker. Thank you.
So much for giving me this opportunity. And it's been wonderful listening to all of you. And in fact, I just wanted to especially thank Dorothy and Peter for actually getting me up here here and being able to speak out what is very, very close to my heart. And in fact, while I was listening to all the speakers, and I was able to identify with each and every person, whatever they were speaking, and I was just getting these goosebumps, that yes, this is what has happened in my country too, and this is what's happening here. So yes, uh, we all have experienced it, especially Pakistan, Umbreen, and India. We are neighbors, so there's so much in common. Our cultures, the attitude towards women. So it's a wonderful platform. So I'll try to just keep in with the time period, and please let me know if I'm sort of exceeding it. Okay. Um, Discrimination, of course, we know, as Umreen also said it, right from the time a girl child is born. It starts from there when sweets are distributed, when a boy is born, and people are crying because a girl is born. That's what happens mostly in India, and that is because we have had this horrible practice of dowry, and therefore we think women are a liability, and so the father has to keep saving up money and sort of get his dowry, and then little later, as the children start growing up, if there's a brother and sister, so you have the little girl being told that no, you have to leave the second helping, leave it for your brother, because the brother is the one who is the prize in the house and in the home, and he is the one who's going to go to the best of schools, he's going to get therefore the best of jobs. Whereas the girl is going to have to leave that, even though she has the same stomach, right? She also wants to have that, she wants to eat that, but it's denied to her, and that is so sad. And she doesn't even know that it's something that is her right, because she's trained right from day one that no, it's okay, you're a girl, that's your destiny, sorry, that's your fate. So that is so sad, and it has to change, and we need to make that happen. Not only that, afterwards the girl of course is married off against her wishes, or maybe as per her wishes, but her choice doesn't matter. It's always, especially in the traditional societies, sorry. So even if she gets married to someone of her choice, it's always, she has to listen to somebody in authority who is always a man. He decides everything for her, whether it's her marriage, whether it's her education, whether she has the right to go to work. Even if she's capable and intelligent, it's often considered to be a sort of a loss of the family pride if a educated girl wants to work, because why should she work? The family respect will come down. Is there any less money in our home? Why should a woman work? So that is, those things have to change. Even if you look at rape is a punishment for a girl wanting to, maybe because it's always the fault of the woman. She was dressed like that. She uh, has brought about that provocative, with her provocative clothes and her looks. I got excited and I decided to rape her, right? So these are things that have to change, and that only can happen through education and awareness. As all the speakers here speak about, when we are educated, we are aware that a woman is not just a plaything. She has a mind and a body. Yes, she is different from a man, but she has a mind. She has intelligence. She has rights. Each The constitution of each country has given women equal rights, almost all, right? So those are protected, but then many of the women themselves are not aware of what they can actually ask for. And because they do not have the right to work, they are financially dependent on their whether it's their father or their brother or their husband, and so it goes on, and later on their son. So at all points of time, it's sort of doled out to you that yes, you can do this. And there are these stereotypes. So long back, of course, now things have changed, especially in the urban areas. Women could become teachers and nurses and other such traditional things. Or you could cook from your home and provide some kind of a tiffin service, these kind of things. But what about the other professions? Even as Peter was talking about the pilot, I mean, very many of them would say, no, why pilot? It's going to take away time from your family. Are you going to neglect your children? That's something that you keep hearing. Oh, you're neglecting your children. Don't you want to see them grow up? Yes, I'm sure the father also would like to see them grow up, right? Both would want to see your children, their first steps and all that. So these stereotypes have to go from our minds. And that can be when parents start giving the same education to their children and say, yes, you also have a right, and so do you. And equal opportunities have to be given to women. And women can build up women. We have to encourage them. Just because it wasn't done during my time doesn't mean I have to torture the next generation. Yes, go ahead. If you feel you can do it, that's your passion, please explore it and do it. So you have these traditional, uh, you know, uh, many families are traditional, and especially the rural area, where a woman has almost no rights. You see just 20, 21-year-old mother of 3 children, and that's all they will do. They will only have children and they will take care of their homes. See, there's no harm. You have to take care of your children and you will take care of your homes. But there are other things which are going to, which also need to be done to make you achieve whatever you were meant to be there on earth. It was not just to have children and to take care of your home. You have a mind and you can achieve your best potential if you're educated, if you have the skills, the training that's so required. And this is something that we all need to, you know, talk very strongly about. Now, I've not faced that in my occupation because, see, as a principal, I'm in the education sector. And yes, I do want to say one more thing. It's a completely woman-empowered structure in which we have our trustee, our senior management. All of us are mostly women in that. So I've been really fortunate and been, the children, of course, I mean, it's a co-ed school, but everyone who manages things are mostly women. And yes, we are fine. We're doing a good enough job, I would think. Quite fine. Sorry, Dorothy. Is it? Am I audible? I
hear
just
you
read
well.
your. All right, all right.
You
So I can.
and Sheila, your mic was sort of going in and out as
Okay.
you were speaking, but we heard it. It was some difficulty as you were moving, but we heard you, and I think you did a great job. Thank you. But go ahead if you want to continue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, how much time do I have? Sorry, Usema Keller.
Yes, ma'am.
Have I got some time, or should I wrap it up?
Yes. You have got 3 minutes to wrap it up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. So I would just like to end by saying that uh, we have to work towards educating and awareness, training, and we have to get, remember, it's your right. You don't have to ask anyone for it. Just go ahead and grab the opportunity. And the rural areas, it's us in the urban areas who have to get to the rural areas and do it, because no one is going to do it for them. They need us. We need to do that. And I would just like to refer to what Peter said also, and that is, don't increase the length of the frets, but increase the length of the tail. And that's what we have to do. Women help women, and of course we have lots of good men also, educated men, who who are supporting us. So there's nothing that can stop us because we impact the community and we start off with our family and therefore the community. So thank you everyone.
Great,
Right.
great
Thank you
job.
so much. Thank you. We really appreciate you. Yes. Okay, we'll proceed to have our last and final speaker before we give room for questions that will be addressed to the various speakers. So our next speaker is Doshima Adi. She's the director. She's the director of Women Affairs Benue State, Ministry of Women Affairs and Development, Nigeria. You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate all your comment and I appreciate this activity. For me, I'm so honored to be here to talk about gender discrimination and inequality, its impact on our families, communities, and the nation. For me, as a child growing up in Nigeria, I had quite a youthful and quite a happy childhood as a girl, because I cannot remember any instance that I was discriminated against. I was treated in school equally with the boys, and I went to a girls' secondary school, and we were charged to take our future in our hands. And so it was a good experience for me. But as an adult, I came to understand, to see what is happening now, and my heart actually bleeds because women have been relegated to the background. There's a great setback for Nigerian women. I'm 56 years old, and what I enjoyed as a young lady, many young ladies of this day do not enjoy it. And I attribute this to so many factors that have happened in this country. One of them was a program that was brought about known as Universal Primary Education, UPE, where everybody went back to education years, they spent 2 years, 3 years, and so on. And from there, we started having half-baked people, a situation where people were writing, boys were writing assignments for women. And then we went on to an era where the structural adjustment program that crippled our economy, the economy went through a depression. And so at that time, jobs were scarce. And so everything was like, let the man take over. If a man has a job, he will feed the wife, he will take care of his sisters, he will take care of his mother, his sisters, and so on. And that program, that structural adjustment program, the depression that Nigeria went through, actually contributed greatly to subjecting women to where we are today, that women are not placed at par with the men. In the sense that from that time henceforth, any jobs that come around, the boys have to get it first. And if any woman wants it, she has to sleep with somebody, or and so placing of women at a lower level with the men has led to disinheritance of women, looking at women as sex objects, looking at women as baby factories, looking at women as visitors in husband's home because of dowry. Some women marry, and yet recently we went out to talk to women about gender-based violence, and they were saying one of the things the men do to them is to refer to them as visitors in their homes. It's not looking setting that says women should be seen and not heard. So this has actually reduced the power of women to even care for themselves, to even look after families. Women are burdened with disease because they cannot treat themselves. They don't have the economic power. So somebody has to take them to the hospital. Women don't have the legal protection because the laws favor the men over the women. We still operate a penal system that says a man can spank his wife to keep her in check. And we have a health system that sometimes will require a woman, if she has to go through any process, a man has to come and sign before she goes through some surgical procedure. In the agriculture sector, women are now, if they have to farm for the man, and they have to give him part of the crops they farm. And if they don't, if a crop is not high yielding, a high income yielding crop, the men will now push it to the women to farm. So women are perpetually placed in poverty. And that makes them, it doesn't make them good role models in the family for the children, both males and females, because some will look at them as being unable to take decisions. And the same thing in the education sector. If a family is poor and they have to go to school and there's no money, the woman is the one that will say, oh, leave her out. The man will take, when she marries, the man can educate her. And so in the family, women, because of this gender discrimination, women experience illnesses, experience psychological illnesses. They don't take many frequent visits to doctors. They feel unwell. They have miscarriages. They encounter gender-based violence, physical, sexual assault. The community now has high incidences of divorce, high mortality rates for all, non-compliance to law and order, low productivity, because not everybody is working, and insecurity. The woman doesn't know much, and so the children that she brings up may not know much. And if you look at the nation as a whole, we have a high disease burden, and many people plagued by these diseases are women, because men go to attend to hospitals more than women. You have social problems, a bad image of women. People make sneering comments about women. They use women for jokes. They look at women as weak, as not being competent. Even when she's given, she has a job to do, they feel a man should be beside her that will help her perform the job. And the nation is losing, because if men in our country, where women are like almost 49% of the population, and if you say that 35% are adult women, less than 10% of those women are paying taxes. And so the country is even losing, because the country cannot have as much money as other large illiterate, and they cannot follow procedures, they cannot follow governance, and there's a high rate of mortality amongst children, among women, and even men. And for instance, and when I invited women from a university to come and participate in a protest action, a peaceful protest, they told me I had to write to the VC before they could come out. And so another challenge is that we women ourselves, this has made us to think that we need only to be supporters to men and not to lead anything. And so women are completely left out of the decision-making of this country. And if anything is to help, I think that there's need for more awareness creation, especially amongst women and the traditional institution and all the institutions in the country, and to create enabling laws and enforce these laws, so that these laws will take care of the human rights violations in this country, because most of what is going on is violation of human rights. Because when the rights of everybody is not considered, development cannot be sustained. And so we need to ensure that everybody's rights, each person is not left out of governance. As the United Nations says, leave no one out. When we leave people out, we leave out a big chunk of the day. They cannot participate because they are not put on the table. And we need to change the mindset of women to make them more assertive, so that they will be able to take decisions. We talk to women, you work in organizations, you are members of associations, you settle cases. Why is it that when it comes to public office, when it comes to performing official duties, you shy away from? Women need to bring their knowledge of solving problems in the home, from settling family members in dispute, to public life, to governance, so that the society will be a better place. And also looking at education for all, infrastructure, looking at systems that work, systems that protect the rights of everyone, so that we are not even, when we are talking of education, no child should be outside, no family should go hungry because they cannot have food. But when if we ensure that the rights of everyone is protected, the country will be better for all. Hello?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Waiting for
We can hear
host.
you. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she's done. Dorothy, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Is she, hello, Ma. Are you see? Are you okay? Are you through?
Yeah, I'm true. I'm true.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Osama, do you
Okay.
want to take over?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, I experienced a lot of issues on my side, from my end, and I just regained access to join. Okay, so we are done with the speakers. So we'd like to proceed by giving room for questions. Any of the participants, if you have a question, please, you do us justice to indicate that you have a question, and room will be given to you to ask questions. And maybe you want to address your question to a particular speaker, please feel free to do so. And after that, we'll have the host, Dorothy Akene, will come in. Then we'll take no, before she comes in, we'll take 1 minute each assigned to each speaker to give us our final words. Then the host, Dorothy Akene, will wrap it up with the conclusion and the word of thanks. Please, any participant with a question, please feel free to come up with questions. Okay, Mary Sewisi, please. You have the room.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon, man.
Sewisi Kuma from Angel Support Foundation. I want to first and foremost thank the organizers of the program for their insight into the issues on gender equality, and also to the presenters. We've had presentations from different countries. I don't have a question to ask, but I just want to make some few contributions. And I also want to thank Mrs. Ushima. It's always a pleasure hearing from you, because you're being treated the same thing as a boy or as a girl. You're giving equal treatment. Then the lawmakers we have now, would have understood that it is not right for them to do some of the certain things they do, and rather take some of the certain decisions they have taken. So it's still a wake-up call to us to still see how in every of our this is a crusade to me. That's how I see it. It's a crusade where all hands must be on deck for us to address these issues. There's something I call peace.
Hello, Mary. Do you have a question for the panel that we can help answer? I really appreciate your comments towards the issue here, and we believe you. I think this panel would like to answer some questions from participants. So if you have a question, we would really appreciate that. So you can throw it out, and then we can go into other things. So please ask somebody the question that it may be a burning question in your mind, and then allow the participants to share their thoughts, if that's okay.
Okay. Okay. What I would ask is, in the area of women supporting and encouraging women, that's something we call we SW. How can I want to get more suggestions on how women can actually support
We're having trouble understanding you
women
now.
who are not willing out of fear. I want to get more in.
Okay. Let me answer that question for you, Osama. If I may take that, if you're okay with that.
All right, sir. Proceed, sir.
Uh, how can we help? How can women understand or can help each other? I think that's what I heard. In my opinion, the issue that is on hand today is the root cause of it is the home and the upbringing. Everything starts from home. When we talked about, the inequality and the unequal or unfair treatment between brothers and sisters and children, all of that has to begin from the very first day or when you all live together under one roof. It not only starts at home, it has to be cultivated in their minds from the day that they work together, they live together, they eat together, they go to school together. And then once that issue is resolved, and then when you see something that is not happening the way it should be, or it's an unfair treatment, and if you happen to witness that, it is each and every one of our responsibility to bring it to the attention of either parent or both parents or whoever is responsible for it. So from home, then it moves on to the corporate culture. Then it moves into the office environment, where we work and we spend most of our time there, whether you're an employee or you own a business or you're a teacher or you're a doctor or whatever. It starts, then it moves on to the office. From the office, then it moves on to the community level, the community that you live in. You run into people who are unfair, who treat people unfairly or unjustly. That's that. After that, it goes into the city level. When you go to the city level, it goes to the state level. And then from there, it goes all the way to the nation. So that is certainly the chronological order in which we need to address these issues. And whether, you are a resident of a small city or a large metropolitan area, all of that, the sequence of events, in my opinion, and I'm not an expert, but I certainly have been around long enough and traveled the world to see that is the cycle, how it starts. My humble request to all the women, especially here, and this is, I know we're running out of time and we may lose, but one of the messages that I want to leave today, especially for all the women and these wonderful, talented women that I had the ability to listen and had the pleasure of listening, and they were handpicked, because they are so passionate about this. I think my message to them is, make sure your silence is your choice. Make sure, ladies, your silence is your choice. And not because you are scared of what your voice may say. Very powerful, and that's where it begins. You all have done such a great job. You're mentoring, you're taking care of people. I know I'm bringing you talking to you, you're dealing with children, orphans, and I know that Joy, you are a principal, you deal with children all the time. So we all have the ability to be around people. So if you start with yourself and impact with what you know, how you want things done, that's where it starts. And once that happens, then it can be dealt with in a different manner. So that was my message to everyone. Please remember that. Make sure your silence is your choice, and not because you are scared of what your voice may say. So at that note, I'll turn it over to our moderator, Osama. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I think your last line is very touching. Make sure your silence is a choice, and not because you're afraid of what your voice may say. That's really touching. We have another person that wants to ask a question. Rosemary, please, are you still there?
Yeah, I can speak. Yeah, when I listened to the Sweden speaker, she was very specific. She said there's the law, there is a guide, there is a policy, and that was the policy they were using to do what the implementation. So my question to the Nigerian president, I'm from Nigeria, is there any policy on gender that we need to, not coming from the federal, because I'm talking of the state, do we have a policy to guide us on the implementation? If we do have a policy, have we ever monitored the implementation of this gender equality? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for now in the state, what we have is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, which is a law that protects everybody whose rights have been violated. And we are also implementing the national gender policy in the state, because the state has not been able to domesticate our own policy, but being applies to the states. And we are working on trying to domesticate our policy here, our gender policy here, and the equal opportunities law too, so that in anything that the state is doing, we can always refer to that law as it concerns women. Thank you.
Yeah, I still want to advise that our context is specific. It's very specific. We cannot take, we are supposed to domesticate it. If we can please do it, it will help us. It will go a long way. It will go a long way to monitor the implementation. Thank you.
It's noted, ma. Thank you.
All right, your point is noted.
I want to ask
the next person,
if I may. Ms. Carlson, can you hear me? When you're mute, can you unmute?
Sir, yes, sir.
Right. You, as the caller just mentioned, you are very specific in the deliverables that the government has talked about and what you're doing. Do you think that establishing a policy towards this initiative is really, does it really make a difference? Do people follow the rules? If the government, I know in the US, we talk about everything and anything. But in terms of executing that is a different story. Nobody does. So it's not about writing a manual or putting it in the manual what the policies are, but at the end of the day, nothing happens. How do we address that?
Well, let me answer that. And I have to say as well, I agree with what you said first, that it's really important to start young with the young children. So this policy actually goes through even primary school, where this policy is implemented. So teachers talk to children . Unfortunately, I have to say, because for so many years, my answer is yes, it does actually have a big impact on the society.
Thank you. I think, Osama, you can take the floor now, and then Ms. Dorothy might want to talk.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Dorothy, please, do you have something to say before we proceed with the question section?
Okay, I don't have much to say. I've listened to everything you all said, and thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I've listened to everything, and I've seen this is a global. It's a problem that has been, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter who you are, but it has affected us. Me, especially, it has affected me, especially the fact that I'm from Nigeria. And right in my home, we are 7. We have 4 girls. We have 4 girls and 3 boys. And my dad made such a way that the boys are more than the girls, like they have the power more than the girls. And the funny thing is that we, the girls, we work hard. In fact, we work 10 times harder than the boys. So it's a global issue that affected us. And gender inequality is a root cause of violence against women. I was reading a report from UNDP, and I saw in the report that in one part of Uganda, when a woman, if you are raped, you must marry your rapist, whether you like it or not. So you see that kind of power you give a man, it is very, 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 very powerful. Because there's this girl, she was raped, the guy didn't want her, and the family said, no, you have to go to the guy and stay with him, whether he wants you or not. And this guy, when she went to stay with the guy left her at home. She was just there in the house, nobody to take care of her, and she can't go back home. So you see, when there are laws like that, it gives the man power over the woman, and she's, there's so much violence against the woman. So the best way to prevent violence against women is to promote gender equality, because it helps to prevent violence against women and girls, and it makes our community safe and healthier. It is a right, human right, and it is good for the economy. So countries with greater gender equality are more connected. The people are healthier and have better well-being. So it's not just about having the laws, but it's enforcing the laws. Every time I keep saying here in Nigeria that it's not just saying that we have this law. Are they enforcing the laws? Is that what they are doing? So every day we fail to deliver gender equality, we pay the price. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Okay, I will proceed to take one more question before I wrap it up. The next question is coming from Galaxy J6. Are you still there? There's no name, just reaching Galaxy J6.
The mute, the phone is mute. Unmute then.
Okay. All right, sir. Yeah, okay, Galaxy J6.
Okay.
Yeah. He's unmuted right now.
Well, it's not muted now, but can't hear.
Okay. Okay, since the questionnaire is not prepared to ask questions, okay, any other person have a question? Does any other person have a question?
Yeah. I think we should just get let's just get some final thoughts from each speaker briefly. I think the call has been over an hour and 20 minutes. Thank you so much. You did a great job. I think we need to let everyone say a few words and we end the call. And then let us reflect on what we talked about today and see if that brings us closer to this issue. And maybe the next conference will have a better impact and more people participating. So that's what my suggestion would be. And so go ahead.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. 1 minute goes to every speaker for their final words. So Ms. Toby Carton, please, can we have your final words?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, it's always a pleasure. It's very educating to listen to everyone, and it makes you realize how different countries are struggling with this question. And I really enjoyed listening to. I know it's very tough. I just want to say that we're all in this together. And I think one thing that is really important in this is that we have to work with our boys. We have to work with our sons. This is not a woman question. I have a daughter and I have a son, and I work very hard with my son to get the right attitude and to get him to understand that the value of women and men are equal. There is nothing else. So I think it's important to also start early when they are young to explain that the value is equal. And any man mansplain what you just said. That is something we talk a lot about in Sweden. Don't let the man come and explain what they just.
All right, thank you so much.
Great.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Peter, Mr. Hand up, please. Your final words.
So again, I want to thank the organization. I want to thank you. I want to thank Dorothy for putting this panel together. A wonderful job. And at the end, what I would like to say is I'm going to repeat some of the important things that I mentioned earlier, right? The first thing that I had mentioned was that for a journey is not complete until our wives, our mothers, and daughters can earn a living equal to their efforts. Number one, remember that. This is for ladies, right? Do not make a note. If you are more fortunate than others, if you are more fortunate than others, build a longer table, not a fence, not a taller fence. And then I mentioned that make sure your silence is your choice and not because you are scared of what your voice might say. And there is a final quote that I didn't mention, and then please take this. This is very important, and that goes to people, men mostly, which I have mentioned, and that says, don't allow men who hate women to define feminism as women who hate men. Let me say that again. A lot of times men say, oh, she's a feminine, she's a feminist, and they define that as if that's not the case. I can tell you. So that we don't. So sometimes what you said, Toby, what you just said, it starts at home. You have a son, you have a daughter, and you cannot let them feel that, oh, it's a woman's place to do this, or, you know, your sister has to do the dishes while he has to go play football and have the food ready when he comes home from school. None of that, because that's where the brainwashing, that's where everything starts. So we in a society need to develop this principles, and then moves on to our community, then to the state, and to the nation. And if we all do this slowly, then we are going to be fine. And everyone, and we just, I think we're pretty much done. So, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Okay, Dr. Joy Shinila, please.
I just wanted to say that, I mean, we have to not stop with education. Education is the root that will get us everywhere. And there's no such thing as a small step. As Toby was speaking, I hope I pronounced your name properly. Toby, sorry. Yeah. So she said that girls did not go to school because for 1 week because they did not have sanitary pads. And in our rural areas, girls stopped going to school after a particular grade because they achieved puberty and there were no washrooms. So that's why it has to start from the grassroots. Education, and we have to reach the government, the ears of the people who are listening and make a difference.
All right, thank you so much, man. Okay, we'll take Oberyn Farik.
I'm Breen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So first of all, I'm really thankful to all, especially Dorothy and the Deputy Organization, who provided me such a wonderful time to learn more, to get more, and to know about all the globe. I was, when I was preparing, I was wondering that, that issue especially I know very well my neighbor countries, India, as Dr. Thakur said. But when Carousel shared, so I was really shocked. To be honest, I was really shocked because she said that it's a developed country, and theirs is still, they are facing a lot of problems. So now my feeling is like that. So we are all on the same page. We are fighter. We are struggling, and I really appreciate after listening. My dear friend, and I really respect, he's from Pakistan as well, and Sir Peter. So he mentioned that, we all, he encouraged women. He said that, many in his conversation, that how important, women's role in man's life. So thank you very much to raising to raising that issue, or to bring it to brought it to be there and discuss. And even I faced very well, too much, but today, after listening to all of you, I'm feeling so positive energy. I'm feeling so that I'm proud of be a girl, be a woman, be a female. So this is the achievement, and all credit goes to, who acknowledge my work, Sir Peter and Dorothy, who brought me here and in this panel. And I have got the chance to give my experience to voice. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you. I'm so happy.
Uh, we're so excited, man, to have you. Thank you so much, man. Okay, Mrs. Doshima Age, please, the final words.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here. And I want to say that it's not something that we can achieve in a very short time. And so all we women need to work together in order for us to achieve an upliftment for women. And through small efforts, we can achieve that by resisting inequalities in the home, by rulers, amongst political leaders, and even women who aspire to work as a synergy. Because right now, many women work, but we don't work as a group. Everybody is working to their own directions. So I realize that if a girl is out of school, it's we that are out of school. If a girl is molested anywhere, all the women have been violated. If a girl is abused anywhere, or if a woman is disinherited anywhere, it goes for all the women. To bear suffering for a long time, and their duty is to suffer in silence. Women say that, yes, I suffered, I bore it for 30 years, and in the end, I got what I wanted. But not everybody can go through that same process. So we encourage women. We need to take discrimination and gender-based violence on women, so that together, for all the men. And I want to say, as they are talking about upbringing is very important. My mom was not educated, but she made sure that boys and girls perform the same household chores in the house. So there was nothing like this is for boys, this is for girls. We all did the same things. If I swept the compound today, my brother will wash dishes the next day. If you wash dishes, I did that the same thing. And that has helped me to stand on my own, and it helped my brother to do those things in the house without feeling that a woman should be doing all those things and not him. So those things give a better perspective of each individual. So I agree that together we need to work together, and we need to encourage positive attributes, positive things that will build their lives and encourage each person to contribute meaningfully to the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
All right. So on a final note, the host, Dorothy Akinde, please, you have the room to say something. Appreciate speakers and any other thing you feel like saying, please.
Okay. Well, they've said everything. It's just to appreciate everybody. Joy, Dr. Joy, and Aubrey. I hope I pronounced that well. Then Peter for always supporting us. You know, he's always available whenever we call on him. And Mrs. Doshima Age for that wonderful, knowledge you've shared for us. I just want to appreciate you people all for taking our time, and also those of you who stayed with us till the end of this program. I really, really appreciate it. Please let it not end here. Let's see how we can move forward. We can work together. Just like Peter said, that we should what? We should build a table, not the wall, not a taller fence. So we should learn to do that. It doesn't matter where we are from, where we are speaking from. The problem is affecting each and every one. It doesn't matter where you are. So I really appreciate all of you, and thank you so much. And stay safe.
Great.
Okay. Thank you so much. In conclusion, we've actually come to the end of this conversation. It has been very, very educating. We've learned a lot. We've had so many experiences. We want to appreciate every speaker or the participant for their, patience to the end. Thank you so much, our speakers. We really appreciate you. And just as the host have actually said, the struggle against gender discrimination shouldn't just end on this webinar. We must together it becomes history. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. I know it's morning here in USA, but everywhere else it's probably evening. So have a great evening, guys, and hopefully we'll talk again. And Osama, thank you. Great job, Dorothy. Thanks for coordinating this, and we'll talk again. Remember those words that I mentioned, that you guys are the best. Stay on, have the faith you are around the globe. Continue shining, and let's keep adding to that list of people who have self-control and discipline and the ability to change one life at a time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye.